Good morning, everyone. How's everybody? A little damp? That's all right. We need the rain. We need the rain. Glad everybody's here. Weather may have a couple people coming in late. The drops are getting a little bigger outside, but that's all right. Glad you're here. Next week's our last meeting of the year, March 16. But just mark your calendar. If you show up the week after that, I don't know, maybe somebody will be here for you, but probably not. So after that, we'll break until the Thursday after Labor Day, and I'll send out information about that later on in April, but make sure you know about that. The big announcement that I wanted to make for you and make sure that you knew about is the number 6:30, and I mean 6:30 a.m. That's when we're going to start next year. This year, we've opened the doors at 6, and I start talking at 6:20. Next year, the doors starting in September, not next week, next September, the doors will open at 6:30 a.m. The lesson will begin at 6:45 a.m. It'll still end at around the same time. Again, there's no hard shut off, but hopefully that will help you. Hopefully that will help other people who it's hard getting up at 5 or 5:30 or whatever time they need to be here between 6 and 6:20, but push it forward a little bit, and well, it's a little bit easier because I want to help more and more people be able to be here to enjoy what Men in the Word is all about and get even closer to God. And I need your help for that too. Here's what I'd like for you to do. I know we've still got another week, and I'm going to tell everybody this next week in case some people are not here today because of Easter week or for whatever reason, or because of the weather, is that I've told you before, we have a YouTube channel where all the lessons that we have are recorded, not the small group stuff, but what's said on the stage is recorded and put on the YouTube channel. And there's a link on the email that I send you every Monday. There's a link to this YouTube channel. I would like for you to think about, for our study of Mark, so since September, what was your favorite week? And I don't care what week it was. Doesn't matter whether it was Harold or Dave Ferguson or me or whoever it was that was talking. That doesn't matter. What was your favorite week that you liked? And share it with one person. One person. And it can be anybody. They don't have to be at this church. They don't even have to be in Austin. Because if they like it so much that they want to show up on Zoom every week, next year, that's great. So think about somebody that you're close to, who you think it would benefit them to get just a little closer to God by being a part of Men in the Word. And a lot of it's not, as you know from being here, a lot of it's not hearing the Bible study or the stories that go on. A lot of it is just showing up, and what does that get you to talk about? What does that open up your heart about? And think of somebody who you think might need that. And it can be any denomination, any age, race, creed, color, whatever, however you want to describe it, and any location. One person, that's all I ask. Send them the link to that one thing and let them watch and listen to the YouTube channel and see what happens. That's what I'd like for you to do. Deal? And I'll say it again. Don't be alarmed when I say it again next week, just for people who aren't here. Last thing is for the announcement is I'm wearing something about the Washington Nationals today. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. Of course, baseball season has started. The Rangers are off to a hot start, except for yesterday, which is always a good thing. But as my kids were little, as they were growing up, we went on road trips for our summer vacations every year from 2006 through 2014, I think it was. So every year on our road trips, and they start off as driving road trips, and then they would be fly somewhere and then drive around because so many places were so far away. And of course, we went to see lots of things. We saw lots of state capitals. We saw lots of historical things. We saw lots of fun things. We also went to lots of baseball games because I always figure things out to figure out, okay, what baseball game can I see a place that I've never been before? Well, because of that, my daughter, who's now 26, has been to more baseball games, Major League Baseball games, than most people. And we always tell her, you want to really impress a guy? Tell him that you've been to Camden Yards, you've been to Wrigley Field, you've been to Fenway Park, you've been to Comiskey Park, you've been to all these places that she's been. Well, one year in 2009, I believe it was, so she was 9, our son was 12, we were going to go, we're going to fly to Washington, D.C., and then spend like 5 days driving from Washington, D.C. around into, again, because of the state capitals, we're going to drive around into New Jersey, around Pennsylvania, back down to Maryland, do a little circle, small circle, but we're going to do it. Well, we'd already been to an Orioles game at that point. As you can see the upper left, she's at Camden Yards. So I figured out we're going to fly up on a Saturday after their swim meet for our neighborhood swim meet on Saturday morning, get there Saturday night, and go to see Washington Sunday morning. And then on Sunday afternoon, we're going to go to an afternoon game for the Washington Nationals. I had it all planned out. And then on Monday, because of our schedule, we were going to drive around and see other things in other places. Well, we fly up, everything's good. When we fly up, we arrive there in Washington, D.C. on Saturday night. We get to a hotel, we go to bed. Middle of the night, she wakes up just screaming. She's in so much pain. Well, when you're a parent and your kid's that young, like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? Oh, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Oh no. So I'm envisioning, it was a swim meet yesterday. She did something swimming and she's got a pulled something. Oh my gosh. We go to the emergency room in Washington, D.C. Hey, Don Jones, right over here. And there are doctors in the room, so I have to be careful saying this. The doctors were very, very, very nice, but they were very, 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 well, they looked at everything. They were sure it was something majorly wrong. There was some female stuff and this and this and this. They did all this stuff. And at one point, Kim, and we were there, this was starting at 2 in the morning, and about 7 in the morning, Kim's like, I just think maybe it's a stomach thing. It's like, I don't know. Well, about 8 o'clock, we hear her pass gas, and then she's fine. They laugh too. Anyway, so we leave the hospital, and it takes about an hour later to finally check out for them to say, okay, it's okay to go. So we immediately go from there to go and see, Washington Monument, the White House, all kinds of things all over the place. It gets to be about the baseball game was going to be at 3 in the afternoon. So at about 2, we go back to the hotel and we're going to change and kind of freshen up. And we all kind of lay down on beds. Next thing we know, we all wake up. It's 10 at night because we've been up all night because of Taylor. So we missed the game. So I've still never been to a Washington game. Neither has Taylor. But I always think of Taylor when I think of the Washington Nationals because we just missed out because she had gas. Yeah. Don't tell her I told the story. All right, let's stand and let's sing. All right, Gaines, start us off. God, fall afresh on me. Living God, fall afresh on me. Let me, oh, me, me. Let's pray. Oh, Heavenly Father, thank you so much for everything that you do for each and every one of us. Thank you for this rain. Thank you for what you teach us during Easter week and what you teach us each and every day of our lives. Please keep Dave Ferguson in your thoughts and your prayers and help us learn more about the crucifixion today. We bless everything in your name. Amen. I mentioned Dave Ferguson. When Don Jones walked in, I sent him over to Group 6 today because Kit Chenault has been under the weather, having a fighting the flu for the last week, which is why he's not here. Dave Ferguson contacted me, and a lot of you know Dave. But Dave Ferguson contacted me a couple days ago and said he probably wouldn't be at our leaders meeting on Zoom yesterday morning and wouldn't be here today because things have gone bad for his father, who's now in renal failure, and they've called in hospice. So please keep Dave in your thoughts and prayers because it's a tough time for him. Deal? All right, let's talk about Mark. It's our second half of Mark, so to speak, verses 21 through 47 in chapter 15. And we're getting near the end. It's the crucifixion. Soldiers forced Simon to carry Jesus' cross, and then they offered Jesus wine mixed with myrrh, but he didn't take it. Jesus is crucified at 9 a.m., the third hour, under the charge, the King of the Jews. Darkness covers the land from noon until 3 p.m., and at the so-called ninth hour, Jesus cries out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Which is from Psalm 22, the exact same words. My God, why have you forsaken me?" And he breathes his last breath. Immediately, the temple curtain tears in two, and a Roman centurion declares, "Surely this man was the Son of God. Surely this man was the Son of God." As evening approaches on preparation day, Joseph of Arimathea, thank you, courageously asks Pilate for Jesus' body. He wraps the body in linen, places it in a tomb, sealing it with a large stone. Joseph, who some say was just a secret disciple, some say may have been related to him, but he goes out of his way to make sure that Jesus' body is taken care of properly and put in that tomb. It's short and sweet chapter, but it tells us a lot of stuff about Jesus, about other people, and about life. We've got a lot to talk about today. First one are our first questions. What does Jesus' refusal of the drugged wine reveal about his choice to endure the full pain and spiritual cost of the cross consciously? When Jesus cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Why did he quote Psalm 22? And why is it significant that a Roman centurion, a Gentile, was the one to declare, "Surely this man was the Son of God"? Talk about these questions, and I will be back. I know there are lots of different things you could talk about with this chapter, this half of the chapter. And if you want to talk about something else in small group, you're welcome to. But I want to talk about our walk, because I think we all have a vision of our walk with Jesus. And no matter how old you are, 8, 58, 88, anywhere in between, I envision something like this. That when it's time, when it is that ninth hour, that Jesus will be holding your hand, walking you along, telling you what a good job you did, and just pointing out different things. Just showing you more things about the world, about life, about heaven. But he can't do it alone. As great as Jesus is, he can't do it alone. Even he needed help. He had his disciples. He has disciples today. Everyone in this room is a disciple of Jesus. But he had other people who helped him. And how would the story be different? How would the story be different if he didn't have Joseph? Think about what Joseph did for him. Joseph went out of his way to make sure his body was taken care of. It was put into the right place and taken care of appropriately. And because so many people did not like Jesus, did not respect Jesus because of what he was doing, changing the world, and they didn't believe in it, Joseph was taking a chance. He was going out of his way to be nice, to help somebody. They didn't have to. And he was risking a lot by doing this, whether it was with Pilate or anyone else who was around there at the time. Now, he did ask Pilate for the body. It's not like he stole it to do all these things, but he took a chance. He went out of his way to be nice to somebody who, we don't know how close he was to him. Yes, he was supposedly in Matthew, he talks about him being a disciple, a secret disciple. And there are other books that say that maybe he was related to Jesus. We don't really know for sure, but it's not like he was that big of a factor that he's not mentioned in the Bible and other places. So here's this nice guy who comes in to help someone who he respects, who he wants to do something nice for. So my question for you is how do you fit into that equation? Do you have people in your life who are going to do that for you? Are there people in your life, or are you going to do it for them? And the best thing is, it doesn't have to be anybody in particular. And I'm not talking about family. No offense, we all have wonderful family, whether it's our great wives, our kids, your grandkids, your brothers, your sisters, or whatever. A lot of that is kind of assumed. But think about doing it for somebody who you barely even know. Maybe you don't know. You just see somebody who needs this help. But someone who's not family, and you still go out of your way to help them, to teach them, to nurture them, to care for them, whatever it may be. Who is that in your life? And who are you being the person for in someone else's life? I could tell you stories. What time is it? 5 till 7? I could tell you stories for the next 12, 14 hours, if you want me to, about the people in my life who've done that for me. I'm not, but I'm going to show you. My friend Dina, who had a crush on in the 10th grade, and now we're, 40 years later, 45 years later, we're best friends. And love her to death. And I know she would do anything for me, and I would do anything for her. Todd and Daryl, my two best friends from college. I hated them when I first met them for the first few months. And then I realized, well, they're good football players. I think I'll get them on my floor next year and win the championship. I knew how to coach. And now, best friends for the last 38 years. We've laughed together, we've cried together, we've gone through everything together. I know they're there for me. I can't tell you all the things that they've already done, and I know that they'll keep doing for me. My friend Brad, who I've talked about before, who's a coach up in East Texas. Same thing, I've known him since junior high. I'll do anything for him. I know the same thing for me. Mark was my roommate in college for my last couple of years. One of the most God-loving men I've ever met, and especially at that age. And he hadn't changed. He lives in New Braunfels now, and I know that all I have to do is call him, and he would do anything for me. Kenny was my photographer for a dozen years at KVU. It's not somebody I grew up with. He's from New Jersey. He's back in New York now. He moved back there in 2001. And I know that all I'd have to do is call, and he'd do it. In fact, I was talking to him, it was about this time last year, and when Taylor was moving from one apartment to the other, and I mentioned it, and without me asking, he said, "Oh, you need me to go over and help?" Like, wow. Taylor doesn't need the help, but thank you. Thank you just for offering. And my friend David from UT Baseball. I covered him 1 year. My first year at KVU was his last year playing. But back then, you're able to get to know players a little bit more. And an incredibly great friend who did so much for me when I left TV to help me through that rough time. I could talk about people in this room who've done the same thing as far as being there for me, but who are you there for? Who is there for you? Because we all need Josephs in our life. We all need Josephs, and you need to be a Joseph for so many people because there are so many people who need you. So those are the main two questions that I want to ask you about as we close things out. Think about these two questions and talk about these two questions at your table. When do you play the role of Joseph? When do you take a risk to help somebody? Not in your family, but somebody else. When do you do that? And is there a Joseph in your life who has helped make you the man you are today? That's it. Thank you.